Before my college entrance exams, my girlfriend, Chloe, was nearly assaulted by a thug. I intervened to save her and was seriously injured in the process. The very next day, as I was recovering in the ICU, Chloe turned on me. She went to the police and twisted the entire story, accusing me of being the one who attacked her, painting the actual assailant as a hero. To make sure the charges stuck, he started spreading vicious rumors about me, pointing out that I didn't have a father and was just an illegitimate child. The online harassment against my family was brutal. People found our address, splashing paint on our door and throwing garbage on our lawn. My mother, in a desperate attempt to protect me, got on her knees and begged them to stop, trying to explain my innocence. But she was only met with insults and beatings. The despair became too much for her to bear, and she took her own life. In an instant, my future was obliterated, and I lost the only person I had in the world. Meanwhile, Chloe took the recommendation to Harvard that was meant for me and walked into a bright future. 3 years later, I was released from prison. The first thing I did was find Chloe. I confronted her, needing to know why. "Why did you do this to me?" I asked, my voice hollow. She was sitting in the passenger seat of that thug's expensive car, and she looked at me as if I were something she'd scraped off her shoe. "A person like you deserves a miserable life," she said, her voice dripping with disdain. "Taking the blame from my husband was a privilege for you. You brought this all on yourself the moment you interrupted our fun." The world started to spin around me, the edges of my vision going dark, and I collapsed. When I opened my eyes again, I was back on that fateful day. The day I had tried to save Chloe. I was in a hidden corner of an alley, and I could see her being harassed. "Help!" Her familiar cry echoed in the narrow space. Hearing that voice, a slow, cold smile spread across my face. I was back, and this time I was here for revenge. "Mark, stop! Don't touch me there!" Chloe's face was flushed red as she struggled against him, trying to look like an innocent, trapped little rabbit. The thug, Mark, just looked more excited by her resistance. "Don't scream," he sneered. "I've got plenty of money. Most girls would be thrilled to get my attention." The last time this happened, I had charged at Mark without a second thought. We got into a messy scuffle that left me with 3 broken ribs, lying in a pool of my own blood. As things got out of hand, Mark had run off, and Chloe had cried, thanking me for saving her honor. She had even promised to marry me after our exams were over. Hearing those words from her back then had made me so happy, even as the paramedics loaded me into the ambulance. I had foolishly pictured her in a wedding dress. The very next day, my beloved girlfriend had chosen money over me, siding with Mark. They had come to the police station together to have me arrested. I was in absolute shock as they both gave their statements against me. Assault wasn't a serious enough charge for them, so they added molestation to the list. I tried to argue, to prove my innocence, but Chloe's performance was flawless. Her accusations, built on 3 years of love and intimacy, were my undoing. She used every detail she knew about me to weave a perfect web of lies. In her version of the story, I was the monster, not Mark. My kindness was twisted into a calculated plot, and she even lied about my mother's job, claiming I was an illegitimate child to further ruin my reputation. During my arrest, Chloe and Mark took their story to the media. In televised interviews, Chloe cried her heart out. "As a girl, my purity is the most important thing I have," she sobbed to the cameras. "Why would I ever falsely accuse Ethan?" Her act of a pitiful, innocent victim earned her a wave of public sympathy. The story went viral, and our home address was leaked online. Mobs of people stormed our house, trashing and vandalizing everything. My mom knelt at our front door, pleading with them, telling them her son was not a criminal. But the enraged crowd beat her relentlessly. Unable to endure the shame and violence any longer, She put on a blood-stained shirt and hanged herself outside our home. The next day, the headlines, manipulated by Chloe and Mark, read, "Molester drives mother to shameful suicide." After 3 years in prison, I was released, filled with a burning rage. I found Chloe sitting in Mark's BMW. "Regardless of the facts," she'd said, "weren't you also in the wrong? Mark gave me a life of luxury, designer bags, and expensive clothes. Could you have ever done that? If your family had any money, would I have needed to frame you?" The fury boiled inside me, and I collapsed. When I woke up again, I had returned to the moment right before my supposed heroic act. Finally, fate had given me a chance to set things right. I found a loose baseball bat behind a dumpster, crept up silently behind Mark, and brought it down hard on his head. Chloe screamed in terror, clinging to me and begging me to stop. It was laughable. When he was harassing her, she acted conflicted, probably already planning her future with him. I shoved her aside and kicked Mark repeatedly in the groin until he scrambled away, crying. Chloe froze for a second, then burst into tears and threw her arms around me. "Ethan, thank goodness you came. Mark almost ruined everything." I coldly pushed her away, dialed the police, and walked away. Before the attack, I had placed my phone in a corner, propped up to record everything. Tomorrow, when they tried to report me, they were in for a nasty surprise. Watching the video back at home, the smell of my mom's cooking filled the air. The table was set with all my favorite dishes, braised ribs and stir-fried vegetables. "Wash your hands and let's eat, Ethan," she said, smiling. "I made everything you like." My eyes suddenly welled with tears. The last time I had seen my mother, 3 years in the future, was in a grainy video of her being beaten by the mob. To clear my name, she had jumped from the 12th floor, wearing clothes stained with her own blood. I rushed into the kitchen, collapsed at her feet, and cried my heart out. My mom was startled. "What's wrong? Is someone bullying you at school? Tell me, and I'll go talk to them." Through my tears, I managed to say, "Mom, your son got into Harvard without even needing to take the test. You won't have to suffer anymore." She had heard the news a few days before and was relieved. "You silly boy," she laughed. "That's wonderful news. Why are you crying?" I was letting out 3 years of bottled-up frustration and grief. From this day forward, I wouldn't be the one crying. Chloe and Mark could cry instead. The next day, as soon as I walked into my classroom, a group of police officers surrounded me. Chloe was being supported by 2 of her friends, looking like she was about to faint from all the crying. Mark, bandaged up like a mummy, sat next to her. An officer grabbed my arm. "Ethan, you're under suspicion of assault and harassment. You need to come with us." With the video evidence safely stored away, I was perfectly calm. "Who did I harass?" I asked. With tear-filled eyes, Chloe raised her head. "Stop pretending," she whimpered. "Yesterday, you were the one who tried to harass me in the alley. If Mark hadn't been there, you would have ruined me. And you hurt him so badly he's in the hospital. How could you do this?" Her sobs and accusations made my classmates stare at me with anger and disgust. "Who would have thought the seemingly honest Ethan was like this behind closed doors?" I heard someone whisper. "He grew up without a dad, and his mom cleaned streets for a living. It's not surprising someone like him would commit a crime." I was fuming. Chloe was incredibly quick to spread her lies. "You're accusing me of harassment," I said calmly. "What proof do you have?" Chloe put on her pitiful face again, choking on her words. "I'm a girl. Why would I lie about something so serious?" I reached into my backpack and pulled out a thick stack of letters, handing them to the police. There were 57 love letters from Chloe, dating back 3 years. I hadn't initially planned on dating her, but her persistent letters had eventually won me over. Some of them were so explicit they were almost comical. After carefully reading the letters, the police took me, Chloe, and Mark to the station for questioning. Due to insufficient evidence against me, I was released that afternoon and went back to school. But Chloe wasn't finished. Just like in my previous life, she and Mark launched a smear campaign against me. Chloe was a natural actress. Her cries and accusations were so convincing that everyone believed her. Local media outlets picked up the story, branding me a harasser. I started getting harassing phone calls, and Chloe's supporters trashed my desk and chair at school, bullying me in every way they could. The teachers gave me the cold shoulder, pretending not to see what was happening. A few days later, Harvard received an anonymous tip and revoked my admission, giving it to Chloe, the school's top-ranking student instead. With her newfound admission, Chloe became incredibly arrogant. She started skipping classes and partying with Mark's money. During her free time, she'd give interviews to the press, urging the police to arrest me. Even though I had more than enough evidence against them, I didn't rush to expose them. A simple harassment attempt and a few lies wouldn't land them in jail for long. But forged evidence, defamation, and cyberbullying, that could get them 10 to 20 years. I wasn't in a hurry. I was content to watch them dig their own graves. Soon enough, my chance came. 3 nights before the final exams, Chloe and Mark barged into my house with a group of thugs. Mark, sitting in a wheelchair, scoffed, "Wreck it." About 10 of his bodyguards started smashing everything in sight with baseball bats. I stood by silently. Thinking I was scared, Mark grinned. "Ethan, until you confess, I'm going to make your life miserable. Today it's your house. Tomorrow maybe it's your mom's legs." The group laughed wickedly. Chloe sneered, her eyes burning with hatred. I calmly pulled out my phone. "Leave now, or I'm calling the cops." Mark was all talk. After whispering with Chloe, they left with their goons, leaving just the 2 of us in the wrecked room. "Ethan, why won't you just confess?" Chloe demanded. I chuckled bitterly. "I didn't do anything. What is there to confess to?" Amid tears, she replied, "Does it matter if it's true or not? Just admit it already, Ethan. Stop being so selfish. It wasn't right for Mark to attack me, but was it okay for you to hurt him so badly?" I rolled my eyes. "Didn't you yell for help back then?" Furious, Chloe shouted, "Why was that any of your business? Just admit to the crime. It's a minor charge, but if Mark goes to jail, I lose my future happiness." I was speechless, tired of her twisted logic. Thinking she had gotten through to me, Chloe smirked. "Your chance to go to Harvard is gone. With a mother who sweeps streets, you'll never amount to much. Fine, admit your guilt, and I'll even compensate you. When you get out, you can work as a security guard at Mark's company." "Fed up," I snapped. "I'll turn myself in after the exams. Until then, no one is allowed to bother me, otherwise I'll fight you to the bitter end." Hearing my promise, Chloe was grinning from ear to ear. She made me repeat my promise to confess at the graduation ceremony before she finally left, satisfied. After she was gone, I took down the hidden camera I had installed in the ceiling. I had captured everything. With just 3 days left until the exam, they were about to get one hell of a surprise. 3 days passed, and the exams were over. Exhausted, I was the first one to leave the exam hall. With my scores, a full scholarship to any top university was practically guaranteed. Whether I had a recommendation or not was irrelevant. The moment I stepped outside, reporters surrounded me. "Ethan, what do you have to say about the public labeling you as a molester? Are you really a molester? Do you have anything to say about Chloe's accusations?" I took the microphone from one of them. "I will address this very soon to everyone," I said. Out on the school field, the stage for the graduation ceremony was set up. Chloe stood at the podium, dressed in designer clothes and wearing heavy makeup. As the new Harvard-bound student, she was about to deliver a speech as the outstanding graduate. Mark, still covered in bandages, sat next to her on crutches. When they saw me, they immediately came over. "Ethan, Chloe said in a bossy tone. "I let you finish your exam out of the goodness of my heart. Don't you dare back out now." Mark whispered menacingly, "If you don't confess in front of everyone, I'll make sure your family pays the price." I stayed silent and found a place to sit. Half an hour later, more than 1,000 students and teachers had gathered for the ceremony. Chloe was the first to speak. After a brief introduction, she directed all the blame at me. Her voice cracked as she tearfully accused me of attacking her that night like an animal, and she described how Mark had heroically saved her, getting injured in the process. She painted such a vivid picture that soon everyone was looking at me with pure anger and disgust. Wrapping up her speech, she played the victim one last time. "I agreed to let Ethan finish his exams before he turned himself in. He treated me horribly, but for the sake of having been classmates, I agreed. Ethan, if you're a real man, you won't break your word, right?" The crowd erupted in indignation, showering me with insults. "I can't believe Ethan is that kind of person. People like him should be punished. How is someone like that even allowed to take the exams?" With the crowd's fury rising, I knew it was only a matter of time before someone tried to attack me. Nearby, a dozen police officers stood ready to take me into custody. Amidst the chaos, I calmly left my seat and walked up to the stage with a flash drive in my hand. I plugged the drive into the computer connected to the projection screen. "All the proof is on this flash drive," I announced. "Take a look." Chloe and Mark looked at me eagerly, probably expecting a video of my confession. My mother's death, years of humiliation, a ruined life. This video would wash away all my shame and anger. "Chloe, watch closely," I said. "The revenge you've been waiting for is here." I clicked play. Everyone's eyes were glued to the big screen. In a dark alley, Chloe was struggling and crying for help as Mark grabbed her. His vicious face was crystal clear on camera. "Stop yelling! My family's got money!" At that point, Mark rushed the stage, trying to grab the flash drive. "Stop it! This is fake. Those pictures are edited." In front of everyone, Mark grabbed the drive, chewed on it until his mouth was bleeding, and swallowed it. Then, with a hateful glare, he muttered to me, "Ethan, my family has money. Once the evidence is gone, I'll be out in no time. When I'm back, I'll take you down, and then your janitor mother." Officers rushed in, pinning Mark to the ground. With blood all over his mouth, he still managed a sinister smile at me. Chloe stood frozen in shock. I pulled out another flash drive and plugged it in. "Mark, you like eating flash drives?" "No problem, I've got plenty more," I said to his surprise. "Also, I've already uploaded multiple copies online. They're probably going viral as we speak." The screen once again showed Mark almost assaulting Chloe. Students at the back moved closer, trying to get a better view. Then, the video showed me sneaking up with a baseball bat and bashing Mark's head. The scene drew gasps from the crowd. Mark went wild, trying to lunge at me. "Ethan, I'm going to kill you! You know what happens when you mess with my family, right? Even if I'm locked up, I'll take out your whole family." A police car pulled up to the stage, and officers dragged Mark into the back seat. The screen now showed Chloe crying in my arms, thanking me repeatedly, saying she wanted to meet my parents and even marry me. An officer came on stage. "Ethan, your name is clear now. Can we try not to let this blow up anymore?" "Not blow it up? No way!" I said angrily. "Last time I was labeled a molester and spent 3 years in prison. My mom was insulted and attacked by people until she was so mortified that she took her own life. I want to give all that humiliation back to Chloe, exactly as it came to me. I want her to live in a constant storm of online bullying, shame, and insults forever. These two people made me lose my spot at Harvard, and I have been bullied for so long. Shouldn't I be allowed to clear my name and prove my innocence?" The cops seemed to agree and didn't stop me. Downstage, the students were all buzzing. "Chloe is terrible. She gets saved and then turns on him." People like that should be locked up with Mark. I knew it. Ethan has always been a top student. He couldn't be guilty. I remember now, Chloe chased after Ethan for a long time. The crowd's opinion had completely turned. Their eyes, now full of mockery and scorn, were like sharp knives pointed at Chloe. She lost all her strength and slumped to the floor. Seeing her look so desperate and pathetic was as refreshing as a cold drink on a hot day. "Chloe, this is just the beginning," I said. "Enjoy it. All the pain you caused me is coming back to you, twice as hard." After a moment, Chloe suddenly knelt in front of me, crying bitterly. "Ethan, please forgive me. If you don't forgive me, I'll have to publicly take my own life." She was sobbing miserably, just like she had after Mark assaulted her. She didn't know she was wrong. She was just scared. If I didn't forgive her, she would face charges of slander and false accusation, and spend at least 10 years in prison. I looked at her calmly. "You'd really commit suicide if I don't forgive you?" She paused, then nodded desperately. "I know you'll forgive me, Ethan. You wouldn't let me die." "No, go ahead," I said, stepping back and crossing my arms. "Just don't get any blood on me." The crowd laughed. Embarrassed, but not wanting to die, Chloe pretended to close her eyes and tried to hit her head against the makeshift wooden podium, which wouldn't have hurt her anyway. The police, doing their duty, stopped her and tried to comfort her, but they allowed me to continue playing the rest of the video. As the 5-minute clip finished, Chloe had cried herself into several fainting spells. She desperately tried to defend herself, shouting that Johnny had threatened her family, but after seeing her true colors in the video, no one felt sorry for her anymore. She had probably forgotten about the video I took when she and Mark had barged into my house, where her ugly behavior was on full display. I didn't expose that just yet. I had other plans for her. After the ceremony, the principal and teachers asked to speak with me and Chloe. They said it was a rare honor for the school to have a student going to Harvard, and asked if I could let it slide and forgive her. The police also said that if I forgave her, they would try to keep her out of jail and let her assist with the investigation from home. I didn't hesitate to agree to their terms. Chloe jumped up to hug me, sobbing. "Ethan, I get it now. You're the best thing that's ever happened to me. From now on, hit me, scold me, whatever you do, I'll never leave you." Her act was repulsive. I pushed her away and made my demands. The school had allowed her and Mark to smear my name, so I asked for $20,000 in compensation, which they immediately agreed to. I also wanted Chloe to write out a detailed account of everything Mark did, which a lawyer would then present in court as evidence. To save herself and appease me, she described Mark as a complete monster, fabricating charges of imprisonment and torture, and even claiming he used her 3-year-old brother as leverage. Her testimony became official evidence. Mark, who was originally facing charges for attempted assault and slander, now had a heap of new charges, the most serious being harm to a child and illegal imprisonment. His sentence went from 15 years to an immediate death penalty. On the day of his execution, I took Chloe to watch. Mark yelled and cursed at her from the death chamber, saying he'd haunt her forever. She was so scared she was trembling, pleading with me to leave. I just laughed. "Mark messed you up so badly. Don't you want to see him die with your own eyes?" Amid his struggles and cries, Chloe passed out. I ignored her, called her family, and left her at the police station. Next, I filed a lawsuit against Mark's family. When they had trashed my house, I had captured it all on a hidden camera. Thanks to my past experience, I had bought some overpriced-looking but cheap jade crafts and antiques and placed them in obvious spots. The price tags were outrageous, but I'd gotten them for next to nothing. When Mark's goons smashed them, His family had to compensate me at full price. With the video evidence, they quickly lost the case and had to pay me over $5 million. My mom cried tears of joy when she saw the money. After my dad died saving a drowning child when I was 3, my mom had worked as a street cleaner for 15 years. We'd never had more than $10,000 in savings. With this money, we no longer had to live in our rundown apartment. I spent $3 million on a beautiful place in a nice area and another $200,000 on renovations. A month later, I took my mom to see our new home. She stood in the bright, spacious living room, moved to tears. "Son, I never thought I'd live in a house like this," she exclaimed. I held her work-worn hands and said, "Mom, the good times are just getting started." Just then, there was a knock on the door. It was Chloe, holding a bouquet of flowers. "Ethan, congrats on the new place," she said with a smile. I didn't take the flowers, and she awkwardly placed them on a table. "What do you want?" I asked coldly. After dealing with Mark's family, it was her turn. She cooed, "Ethan, it's been so long. Are you still mad at me?" My mom, who knew everything Chloe had done, sat on the couch without a word. Unbothered, Chloe continued, "I was forced to do what I did back then. I really like you, Ethan. Let's get back together, okay?" I laughed. "Sure, I'd love that." Her eyes lit up. "Really?" "Of course," I said. Once she was sure we were getting back together, she quickly asked, "Ethan, I heard you won the lawsuit against Mark and got a lot of money. Is that true?" I told her he paid $580,000. Her eyes sparkled as she put on a pitiful act. "Ethan, because I stood up for you, Mark's family has made my life hell. My parents lost their jobs, and we have nothing now. You're my boyfriend, and you're loaded. You'll help me with college, right?" I knew she was a user, but her scheming was still shocking. I forced a smile. "Of course." She jumped up and hugged me. "I knew you were the best." I pushed her away. "I'll cover all your college expenses. You can leave now." She thanked me endlessly before leaving happily. Little did she know she wouldn't be going to college. She'd be spending her next life in jail. After she left, my mom looked worried. "Ethan, we might have money now, but we can't waste it," I reassured her. "Mom, I won't let Chloe get away with what she did. Just give me some time." There was another knock at the door. It was an official with a college acceptance letter. My exam results were out. With a high score of 710, I had been accepted early into Harvard with a full scholarship. My mom was over the moon and started planning a party. With my acceptance and financial security, my mom could finally hold her head high. Now, I was ready to take Chloe down. She had no idea what a deep hole she had dug for herself. I had verbally forgiven her, but I never signed an official pardon, which meant I could take her to court any time. Her false accusations should get her at least 5 years. But her worst crime was turning Mark's sentence into a death penalty, which was close to premeditated murder. And I had the video of her and Mark vandalizing my house and threatening me. All I had to do was hand that flash drive to the police, and she would go to prison for at least 20 years. I spent a week gathering all the evidence and then went straight to the police. They didn't arrest her right away, but started a secret investigation. Soon, justice would be served. A couple of days before I was due to leave for college, a moving company showed up at our door, hauling furniture into our house without asking. A flashy, middle-aged woman in sunglasses stood in the living room, ordering them around. "Be careful with that. If you break anything, you can't afford to pay for it." My mom was baffled. "Who are you?" The woman took off her sunglasses, looking smug. "I'm Sandra, Chloe's mom. We're moving in. You'd better clear out the master bedroom for us." Before my mom could react, Sandra had the movers packing our things and tossing them into the living room. "This is our house. Why should we leave?" my mom said, furious. Chloe strutted in with her luggage and hugged my mom's arm. "Auntie, I'm with Ethan now. So I'm your daughter-in-law. Isn't it normal for us to live together? Unsure what to do, my mom called me. I took a cab home immediately. As soon as I walked in, Chloe rushed over, clinging to my arm. Ethan, we're one family now. Isn't it great that I asked my mom to move in with us? I stared at her coldly. Sandra stood there with her hands on her hips. Ethan, since we're family, let's set some rules. My daughter has OCD and your mom sweeps streets. They can't possibly live together. I laughed in disbelief. Where do you think my mom should live then? Chloe pouted. Ethan, didn't you say you have an old house near the cemetery? It's a bit run down, but it should be fine for shelter. We can visit her often. My mom hung her head, tears streaming down her face. Seeing my silence, Sandra grew impatient. What are you waiting for? Pack up your mom's things! Enraged, I slapped my hand across Sandra's face. She clutched her stinging cheek, shocked. How dare you hit me? How did you escape being swept away by my mom on the street? I said coldly. Sandra started wailing. Daughter, we're not even married yet, and he's already beating your mother. Chloe turned red with anger. Ethan, that was too much. How could you hit my mom? I flexed my wrist. Sorry, I was so busy hitting your mom. I forgot about you. Then I slapped Chloe hard across the face. She fell to the floor, bawling alongside her mother. Watching them, you could see they were cut from the same cloth. Ethan, Chloe cried. I risked my life accusing Mark. His family's bankruptcy is crushing me. Is this how you repay me? I retorted coldly. Mark's parents paid me huge compensation and spent a fortune on his appeals. They're bankrupt and living on the streets. How could they possibly be targeting you? I bet you've been using our family's wealth to sell off your things and buy luxury goods. Amy still wanted to argue when the police knocked on the door. With all the evidence against her, they cuffed her right there. Chloe, you're under arrest for perjury, false accusation, and cyberbullying. You need to come with us. She panicked, but I just sneered. The time you came to my place and threatened me? We got it all on tape. Mark has paid for what he did. Now it's your turn. With the evidence laid out, Chloe collapsed, bawling and begging for forgiveness. For someone as vile as her, I would love nothing more than to see her get life in prison. I refused to give her a pardon. A week later, the verdict was in. Life in prison for Chloe. That decision made my day. As for Sandra, having drained the family's funds, she couldn't support herself and ended up scavenging on the streets. The misery I had faced in my past life was finally repaid in full. Now, I was looking forward to a future that could only get brighter.